Hey everyone, so today we're going to be talking about a sword that I bought from LK Chen, the Roaring Dragon, and why this one was a little bit of a disappointment. So to start off as a disclaimer, then I got 10% off this sword because I was referred by someone who watched my YouTube videos to LK Chen, but I paid 90% of the value of this sword, and I chose the sword, it wasn't chosen for me or anything like that. So it's a really nice sword. It's a true Dynasty Gen, which is long. So it's a 100 centimeters blade and 38 centimeters handle. So a really nice sword, especially if you do something like what I do, which is Jedok Geom. It's the perfect proportions. Anyway, so why do I say that this was a bit of a disappointment? Well, the first question that non-sword people ask when they hear that you buy a sword is, "Ooh, is it sharp?" And it's actually not a bad question. So in answering that question, then the answer was half. So here's the sword. When I first got the sword, then half of it was sharp. So from about here downwards, it was razor sharp, like nightmarishly sharp, which is the wrong end to be razor sharp, by the way. And from here upwards, it was completely blunt. I could literally run my fingers along the edge. It was that blunt. So I reached out to LK Chen and I said, "Hey, you've sent me a sword that's half blunt." And they asked me to send them evidence that it was half blunt. So I did a cutting video showing that when I was cutting with the top half, it was just tearing the pool noodles and it wasn't cutting at all. And if you've seen my other videos, then you've seen that I've used a different gen, which was completely blunt, and I've cut through pool noodles cleaner than this. So I'll show you a photo of the pool noodle that I cut using this one, and you can have a look in the corner to have a look at the video where I do some test cutting with a completely blunt sword. So after that, then they said they will talk to their team at the factory and let them know that they didn't sharpen a sword. And they offered me 10% off my next order. So this sword cost about 800 Australian dollars, and at the amount of time it took to sharpen this sword at my hourly rate, 10% off is not worth it at all. And the other thing is, I'm not sure if there will be a next order, because if I can get a lemon this bad from LK Chen, I don't know if I want to buy another sword from LK Chen. Maybe I might, but at this point I've got my reservations, at least until I see something done about that quality control. Now, there was no offer of a partial refund, no offer to exchange the sword, nothing like that, just 10% off the next order. So it was pretty much the same deal that I had from being referred to them as a YouTuber. Now, I got a lemon, that's true, and the thing is that not every sword is a lemon. So you might say, well, you got a lemon, so too bad luck. But the question is, should I be able to get a lemon that's this bad? Quality control misses things, that's fair. If it misses a bubble in the brass casting, I'd say totally fine, that's a lemon. If they miss a sword where you can run your fingers along the edge that's supposed to be sharpened, but on the other half of the sword, it will completely slice your fingers off if you tried that, that's not a normal lemon. That's something where quality control has gone really badly wrong. And I think LK Chen needs to address this. They shouldn't be able to have such a varying difference in quality control on the one sword. Because clearly it's missed a step in the process of sharpening. But how did it miss half a step in the process? Because if I got a blunt sword, I'd understand it missed sharpening. If I got a razor sharp sword, then it'd be perfect. But I got a half sharp, half blunt sword. I don't understand how that happens when you have a process where one person sharpens a sword. So either they've got multiple people sharpening the sword and they're sharpening the strong of the sword first and the weak of the sword later, which is a very unusual process, or one person has slacked off halfway through their job and this is why I've got this lemon. So either way, at the end of the day, I've got reservations about buying from LK Chen until I see something done about their quality control. But let's talk about the rest of the sword. So the rest of the sword is fantastic. So it's a really nice sword, well proportioned for the style that I do, which is Jedok Geom. The manual is usually done with a single-edged sword, but it does mention a double-edged sword, and so that's exactly why I bought this. And it handles beautifully. It's got a point of balance of about 10 centimeters, which is really short compared to the saber versions of the swords used, but all of the forms can still be done really nicely. And it's got a total weight of about 1.3 kilos. It's got a nice flex, really nice blade, handles and flies through the air really nicely. Handle wrap is done nicely, nice and tight, and the handle shape is really interesting because it starts from a very narrow oval to being round, and this fits in the hand really nicely. Plus it's got some risers to help with grip. So all in all, it's a really nice sword that's just been lent down by the sharpness of the sword. Handles really nicely, you can do all the forms really nicely, flies through the air, and it just makes you want to keep training. So why am I so disappointed? Well, because I've got another sword for that. I've got a blunt feather that does all of that. I needed a sharp cutting sword. And when you buy a sharp sword, you expect a sharp sword. And this just wasn't it. Now in other news, then the Chu Dynasty swords don't have any survival manuals on how to use them. But the Roaring Dragon is the perfect proportions for the double-edged sword mentioned in Jedok Geom, a Korean manual. Now, I happen to practice Jedok Geom, and if you have a look at the original manual, it's very difficult to decipher. It takes a lot of time and effort to figure out what to do from the photos and the words. So I have written a book, which will hopefully be available in the next 2 weeks, and when it's available, I'll make another video with all the links to purchase it. But this book will explain to you how to do the forms so that you can have a shortcut so you don't have to decipher how to do the moves. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and I hope people go and buy it, and if you do, then please go on Amazon and leave a review for it because that'll help me a lot. So if you want to learn how to use the Roaring Dragon in a Korean style using Jedok Geom, then have a look at that way. If you're a little bit more traditionalist, then there's also the Shuangchuojian manual, but I haven't deciphered that one, and I don't know anyone who has properly deciphered it, but you can have a go and see what you do with it. So I hope you like this video. I hope LK Chen fixes his quality control and doesn't send out lemons like this that shouldn't exist. And well, now I've got a sharp one because I spent hours sharpening it, so maybe you might see some videos of me cutting with it. So with that, I'll see you next time.